listen.
And to make them feel safe, yeah.
Yeah.
Hi, we're live here
Hello.
on the Magenta show, and I've got the fabulous Mark Dunn with me here on the show. Thank you for coming to the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah.
It's a pleasure to be here.
Oh, fabulous. So you are going to love today's show because we're going to talk about self-realization and self-awareness and actually expanding your consciousness, expanding your ability to make healthy choices. I can't tell you I can't tell you enough about Mark here because we've had this amazing conversation upstairs before we came down here to the studio, and I'm totally blown away by the depth of knowledge and experience that you have and how you've served in the community. And I just want to say that it really, truly, truly is an honor to have you on the show. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. I must have to give back the gratitude back to you as well.
So please, if you love the show, and I know you're going to love the show, share as we go live. Please share it regularly throughout, not just once, a little bit later in the show, share it again so that people can see that Mark and I are having this incredibly valuable conversation today. So let's see who's joined us, Mark. We've got Preeti Chopra. Hello, Preeti.
Hello. Good morning.
Shannon and Mackenzie Love has joined us. Hello. Inga. Hello, Inga. I told you we've got an international audience.
I love it. Sue.
Oh, lovely. Sue McLeod has joined us. Hello. Thank you. We can see who joined us. Melissa Johnson's joined us. Hello. Thank you. Welcome, everybody. Please share the show. We've got incredible, beautiful content. And for those of you regulars, you know how this works. Feel if you're drawn to the box that says number 1, number 2, or number 3. At the end of the show, I'm going to give you a little color message to spruce up your week. And that will be revealed at the end of the show. Okay? So let's have a little conversation here about how did you become self-aware? I know it's a loaded, long question, yes, Mark, but self-awareness is very important for you. But what made you pursue the path that you've followed in your life for you to be self-aware? What were the triggers?
Well, life has a way of handing us lemonade or lemons to make lemonades. And sometimes for me, I had to slow life down without getting caught up in the rat race of what was expected. So you're expected to go to school, you're expected to get an education, you're expected to do this. And what I had to do was I had to pull away from that because that cycle of development didn't work for me. And I realized that in grade 6, I started to realize that I couldn't keep up academically with a lot of the other kids because I needed more time. So from that experience at a young age to learn that I can pull back, I started to develop different coping mechanisms and most importantly, acceptance of my abilities at the time.
But hang on, I've got to stop you there because I had a similar experience and that's not what happened to me. I just got angry. I went straight to victim. The education system, the parents, the society, everybody's wrong. What's wrong with them? And I went there, and oh my goodness, you completely saw the bigger picture at that young age already.
Yes.
I told you, you guys tune in and share the show. This is an amazing, amazing guest. Okay, so you knew that at an early age.
Yes.
Wow.
And it's a process, though, because I still became angry and frustrated because I wasn't like the other kids. Yeah. But then I had to realize, what is it that I can do well versus what do I need help with? Yeah. And at that young age, you're looking more at, like, what's your ability around reading, comprehension, and math? Why are you struggling?
That's right, because that's the system. Right?
That's right. Yeah. So where was my struggles? I tried tutoring with my brother. I tried tutoring with other people. It just didn't work. So as I was getting older, I had to learn how to figure that out, but I couldn't figure it out enough to make the marks equal the effort that I was putting in.
Yeah.
So I had to make sure that in my mind that I belong, but I take time and I'm going to do things in a marathon-like mentality where I'm going to just pace myself.
Yeah, because you said to me upstairs, you figured this out at a young age. You're not a sprinter.
No.
You're not a sprinter. But here's the thing. Most of us are told we have to be sprinters. We have to sprint to a specific goal and end goal. Mm-hmm. And you figured out that's not your path. You have to do it as a marathon slowly. And that way you can be more in control. That's the conversation we had upstairs, which just blew my mind. Because I have to say, when I was younger, I just got so angry because I couldn't be the sprinter. I never thought to myself, I didn't have that in me at the time to go, hey, girl, you're not a sprinter. you're a marathon woman. Slow down. It's okay. I didn't have that. Wow.
Well, unfortunately, we live in a world where they want you to follow a B, C, D mentality, right? For me, I had to understand that because I accepted that that's not the way how I can do things, I had to relearn. But I was always going against the grain to relearn because it wasn't normal. It wasn't normal to sit back and realize your friends in grade 9 are reading Shakespeare and I'm reading something at grade 7 level. So I had to pull back and I had to have self-awareness, self-esteem, all those things that make you up as a young person. And then I leveraged sport as my platform to make myself feel as par or equal. So I took even sports to a higher level to help me compensate for those things that I was missing. So the anger wasn't as much. There was no depression. I didn't believe in that, only because I believe that I could be sad, but I don't believe I can be depressed. Because language is powerful. Language is powerful. I would rather go around and say I'm having a sad day or I feel sad because I didn't pass that test. But I'm not going to use the word depression because it's a loaded word. It's very heavy. And to a certain extent, because we are human beings, we are conditioned to the language we use. So I was even careful with how I would explain things about my difficulties. So as I was going through grade 9, I actually started taking basic level courses where they were like remedial. They were just for people who just could become auto mechanics, people who work well with their hands, that kind of thing. And I didn't want that, because I sat back and said, I want to be like those guys going to university. How can I do that? And I'd be the first person in my family to actually do this. So I said, I want to do what they're doing. And they're like,
So
no, Mr. Dunn,
the
you
marathon
can't.
man came out.
Yeah, and he came out even more.
And you found a way to do it.
Yeah, and at the same time, I came out and I did do it, but I did it in a way that I had to go through that acceptance, understanding, and then self-awareness was built on that. So my foundation to who I am is 100% based upon knowing who I am, knowing my value, and knowing that no matter what society says about me, I'll go through life to see if it's real.
Yes.
See, the thing is, I will not accept it. I'll have to actually build a reference.
Yes.
So if you tell me I can't do it, that's fine. Let me figure out a way.
Yeah.
And then let me kind of move on. So all my life has been like that. It's always been a process, even in business. It's always been, don't try to be like an entrepreneur like those celebrities. Be like yourself and stay being who you are, and allow the process to come to you, right? Allow life to flow like water, and you'll go with it. And unfortunately, our egos get in the way, and our pride gets in the way. And ego for me just stands for edging your greatness out. When you edge your greatness out, you can't win. You're just dying in water. So I decided to just let my ego check it at the door, be patient, stay in your own lane, run your own race, and don't worry about what's behind you, around you. Just focus moving forward.
Focus on moving forward. I love it. So the other thing that you said to me is you have worked in mental health, and you specifically work with youth. And can you tell me a little bit about what that taught you? And now you're a dad now. You've got a 6-year-old, right?
Yes, I do.
So what was that period of time like in your life when you were working with young people in their 20s? With mental health issues?
Well, a lot of the challenges that I found, because I never had a background academically to be in mental health, I learned on the job, but I learned even doing my own homework about mental health and some of the challenges at that time. And with youth in particular, a lot of the biggest things I did find with those who had insight on their illness was the lack of self-awareness and the lack of safety and trust to be able to build themselves up, because there's always someone ripping them down.
And that's the cornerstone of mental health, is they don't have that self-awareness, and they've lost trust.
That's right. And then a traumatic experience will occur, which triggers everything else. One of the things that I really relied on was that, and I do this with everyone that I talk to and meet, if it's in business or in life, is I want them to educate me on who they are. I don't want to assume who they are. I want
so you didn't take the standardized box of the questionnaire you go through with a patient that you have to work through. You actually said, you're going to tell me who you are.
Correct.
So you really flipped it around.
Yes. And when they're actually feeling that, they feel empowered, and they're kind of shocked, because they're like, well, who's ever asked me about how I got here, because most people find out about it through medical model approaches, and I just decided to go against that with those who had insight.
Yes.
And when I was able to get their understanding of what was going on, they were able to share with me some of the details and some of the deepest ones that I could sit there with their parents and talk to them about, to say, this is what we're dealing with. Here's where we're at. Here's what we're going to do.
Wow.
And then we start to work towards a positive future. Even to this day, I don't work there anymore, but I had a couple people contact me in the last few weeks, just letting me know about people who have asked about me. How is Mark doing? Let him know I'm doing well. And it humbles me to know that after 10 plus years, people still remember. And I'm very grateful for that. But at the same time, I'm also respecting the fact that I did the right thing.
Yeah.
And that's that whole reference point.
And you did the right, exactly. And again, you did it the marathon man way.
That's right.
The sprinter way is gets results quickly because there's a system with tick boxes that's got to be satisfied with their quota and numbers. I love it. Okay, so if you love this conversation on mental health, on self-awareness, please share the show, because I've got the fabulous Mark Dunn here with me if you've just joined us. Let's have a look. Marilyn Rodriguez and Shannon is saying, such an important point, don't measure yourself against others. Yes, I quite agree. Yeah, Shannon, thank you for that. Joanne, Norma, Marilyn saying, great interview. Thank you, Marilyn. We appreciate your comments. And Rita's joined us. Tim Abbott's joined us. Preeti says, I'm choosing number 1 today. Oh, Preeti, I have no idea what the card is for number 1 today. So hang until the end of the show and we're going to show you. Okay, fabulous. So, so what we're talking with Mark Dunn here today is we're talking about self-awareness, and we're talking about mental health and his experience in that field. And what are you currently involved in? Where are you? Because you've got such incredible study and experience behind you. How are you utilizing the gifts and the knowledge you have right now in your life?
Well, with the platforms that I use through social media, I'm promoting and helping people with marketing, branding, fundraising, a lot of different components to help work with people. Because I'm a people person, so I have to be around people. I have to be around something that allows for me to help people gain something versus myself gaining. So I'm in different professions, such as business development, as I mentioned, and most importantly, marketing through social media for myself and my brand. I do workshops. I do professional workshops, one-on-one workshops to help people through self-awareness, because that's what I feel most passionate about. It's something
switching on those lights.
It's something that I would do for free as much as a fee. So that's my passion.
Then you know that's
right?
your passion.
That's
if
my
you would
passion.
do it for free.
So every day I'm in a position where I'm able to inspire hope through individuals, through social media. If it's through LinkedIn or Instagram, I provide content 3 or 4 times a day that just comes genuinely and naturally from me to be able to share with the world. My job at the end of the day is to make the world a better place by impacting one person's life. I'm not trying to change everybody. I'm not a miracle worker. I'm not a rescuer.
You're the marathon man, remember?
I'm a marathon man. And it's the done right. It's a done right marathon.
It's a done right marathon.
But yes, and that's kind of my focus and where I'm at. And at the end of the day, I never shy away from people contacting me to want to ask me questions. If I don't know the answer, I don't know the answer. I'm humble enough to say I don't know that. I can only help you with what I do know.
Yeah. And you also wrote a book.
Yes, I did. I wrote a book in 2009 called Yesterday's History, Tomorrow's a Mystery, 7 Stepping Stones to Discovering the Champion in You.
Yesterday's history, tomorrow's
a mystery.
A mystery. I love it. Isn't that an awesome title? If you love that title, you've got to give us some blue hearts here in the comments box, because it's a beautiful, what an extraordinary title. Yes. So what made you write that book?
At the time, I had a lot to say. And I didn't know how to get it out. And I decided to try something where, once again, going back to my school days, teachers were telling me, you can't write, you can't do this. So I said, let me use this as a platform to prove to myself that I can. And I wrote a 7-chapter book on self-empowerment, and such as looking at your own environment and looking at you as an individual and how you understand you best versus status, title, degrees, income. Forget the external, focus on the internal. And that's what the book's purpose is. At the end of each chapter, it has like a note page where you can actually take notes on a blank piece of paper on what you read, but how it works for you.
How it works. Oh, I love it. This is an amazing book. The other thing you asked me when we were pre-show is, when I got out of bed this morning and my feet touched the ground, what was the first thought in my mind? Now, most people, I'm going to ask the audience here, did you know and can you remember when you put your feet on the ground first thing this morning, what that first thought was in your mind? If you did, you're pretty self-aware. You're doing pretty well. If you can't remember, be more mindful in the moment, be more present, and learn to have self-awareness so that you're aware of those thoughts. So unfortunately, I did remember my first thought. So this morning my feet was on the ground and I shared my first thought with you this morning, right?
That's correct.
And so we want to make sure that is the message we give to people, is to be in that moment. Because when the other subject we had a conversation about that I loved your take on it, is when choices, having people have choices, and most people don't know that. When they get into a panic or they get into overwhelm, or they feel there's too many choices on offer, then they just go round and round in circles, and afraid to make a decision, afraid to commit to a choice. Okay, so if somebody came to you and that was the state they were in, they were all over the place, they didn't know which way to go, what would your advice be to them?
Well, the first thing I need to do is kind of break down what got you here. So what got you in this mindset? What got you in this spin? Why are you feeling so aggressive? Like what is it? And this is not a judgmental thing. This is just for us to have a map to work from.
Yeah.
If you can understand that component, then we start to basically examine each and every one of those. And we start to come to grips with understanding, why is this impacting me now? Is it really that this is impacting me, or is it like something 2 days ago?
Yeah.
Because we don't know. We won't know until we ask those questions.
Is the actual choice dilemma you in the actual dilemma, or is there
Correct.
something else you're not identifying and you're using that to create the drama?
Yes, it's a form of avoidance, right?
Yes.
You're avoiding the truth
Yes.
of something that may have happened 2 days ago, but you're using this as the thing that broke your back, so to speak. And now you're going to let the world know about it, right? What I want to do is figure that out. I want to sit down with you and talk to you about that, right? And then we break those things down. You identify it, not me. Because I want to empower you.
We got to
I
find
want to
our own
empower
way.
you to talk about you. I don't want to talk about you, right?
I love it.
At the end of the day, that's where I'm coming from. So truthfully, once we get to that stage and we've identified it, now let's talk about why you feel that way. And there's nothing wrong with vulnerability. I think what we live in a time of is having fear of vulnerability, having a fear of being judged, having a fear of what people will think, having a fear of what I'm going to think, without realizing that A, we're human, B, we give ourselves permission to grieve, be sad, be upset, whatever the case may be. Give ourselves that permission. And then C, how do we move on? Because at the end of the day, time stops for no man or no woman. We have to keep on going. So if we keep on going with the baggage that we can remove, and we're not removing that baggage, then we can't expect the world to see the beauty in who we really are, because you're being weighed down. You're not being lifted free, so you can spread your wings and let us see the beauty you have. And that's the thing for myself that I'm always focusing on, is the beauty of life, the beauty of being able to breathe, to see, to appreciate the lighting, to appreciate being in the presence of great people. Those are things that you'll never get back, and yet we're chasing life to get that stuff.
Those moments of appreciation and gratitude.
That's correct. It's a huge thing.
And it's so extraordinary. I've had a lot of guests on the show since we've been going since September 2017. And you'll be surprised at how often the subject of gratitude and appreciation comes up. It's become a normal part of a conversation. I'd have business people here, and gratitude and appreciation will turn up. The world has evolved, hasn't it?
It is changing. It is changing, because I think what we're starting to see now is the flow and the flux of knowing how much damage we as humans are doing to the planet. How much we're doing to the world, when we can actually heal some of the world. I always say, if you can heal yourself first, then you can start looking at healing the world.
Healing the world.
Because what energy you put out to others is what's going to be a domino effect of something else. I've always kept in the back of my mind that I'm not raising my son. I'm raising his kids. Because I'm seeing down the road, right? So when I start looking from the end result of what's down the road, that's where I start to bring in humility, grace, gratitude, faith, encouragement, optimism, resiliency, all those things that you need regardless of the time. You still need those principles and values to get through life and function.
And do you find that I know he's 6 years old, but do you find he's become a teacher for you as well?
I've been told he's like, he sounds just like his dad. Like, that's what I've been told, and I'm humbled by it. But he picks up on a lot of that, because in our home we have different phrases in our home that we post in different areas. So in his bedroom, he has a phrase that's, if I'm not mistaken, it says, "All things are possible," and it's in his room. And in my side of the bed, when I wake up, the first thing I see is the word faith. And around those words, faith, I have these little postings. One of them is, I don't give up on my dreams unless I choose to. And it's always something when I put my feet down. That's the first thing I see, though. When I turn over, that's the first thing.
Okay,
So
we got to challenge the audience on this. And any of you watching the repeat and the recording later on, because I know, we've got a lovely live audience, but we get a lot of repeat views. I want you to put next to your bed a word or a phrase that is the first thing that you see in the morning that is going to inspire you. Mm-hmm. And I would like you in this feed to come back to this feed and pop a photograph in. Okay, you don't have to show us your bedroom, just the area where you're going to post the word. Okay, it's a challenge. I'm going to do it as well. I'm challenging everybody out there. Take a photograph, put a phrase up, take a photograph, put it in the feed. Let's see whether you can do that. I think it's amazing, and to have it in your son's bedroom as well. I think that's amazing.
Yes, it is, because I think we feel, when we look at what we connect to and we understand it, it helps us start off our day in a way of gratitude automatically, without us feeling that we have to do it.
Yeah.
You never want to tell somebody you have to do something. You want them to be inspired to do it where it's natural and it's authentic.
Yeah.
Right? Every time I wake up, I authentically feel the faith of knowing that everything's going to work out the way how it's supposed to.
I love it.
I don't question how my life is going to go today, because it's already been created for me, so I don't fight life. Yeah. If I'm going to get to this location, I'm going to get there. Yeah. If I'm going to meet this person who's not happy with my services, I know it's going to happen, but I can work through it. I always believe that anything that we individually go through, we can handle. We just choose not to do it in the way that we're supposed to do it.
Yeah.
So we are actually meant and conditioned and developed to handle our own unique problems, our own unique challenges, without trying to rely on external world resources, books, seminars to help us. Everything is inside of you. You just need to strip away the external side and component of it to be able to see
all that noise that's around us.
Exactly.
It confuses us.
Correct. And those voices.
We always have the answer. It's always in here. And faith, I think, is the foundation of everything in life.
And the answer is for you, though. The answer is not for your neighbor or for your best friend or for your spouse. The answer is actually for you. Like, when I look at the answers that I had for myself and still have to this day, I would never tell somebody to do it this way because that was my answer. I'd be like, no, what you need to do is figure out what is it for you.
Yeah.
Because if we all have a unique fingerprint, that means we all have a unique journey.
That's right.
So that means it's not the same.
Yeah.
Every single one of them out there today is built to be unique and elite.
That's it.
And when you're built to be unique and elite, it's because you are one individual. Yeah. There is no one else like you. Yeah. And there'll never be.
No. And you know, living a life with these principles and living a life based on the self-awareness and self-actualization and self-realization, it also means that if you're in business and if you have a business where you're servicing the world and making a difference in the world, you also you're tuned into the fluctuations of how the rhythms of business and marketing work. So the other thing that struck me when we were chatting earlier on was how marketing trends evolves. I'm just going to talk a little bit about business here because we do have quite a few people who are entrepreneurs who are watching this. Marketing changes and the way you market, the evolution shifts, and you gave it a time period.
I usually say every 6 months to a year it shifts.
It shifts, right?
Yep.
So you know a little bit about my business now. So what did, because I'm about self-awareness, raising self-awareness, using color to do that, and using the media platforms to showcase people how that all works. What would be a marketing trend that I could hook into that would really work for my business, that would really help me? So I'm actually asking Mark Dunn here for some free advice here, and he can't say no because he's live on Facebook.
Well, it's very interesting.
What would you suggest?
It's very interesting. I think for one, you're already doing it with social media. That's the biggest.
Yeah.
That's the biggest component right now because A, it's free to a certain degree, and B, you can capture more people about what your product service is in a very short period of time. The next component is you want to go against the grain of where you think most people in your industry are going and go to the opposite to a certain degree.
Oh, okay. I've never heard this bit of advice, so this is interesting. Yeah?
So as an example, what I would say is like when you look at the medical side, there's therapists, physiotherapists, trainers, you name it. There's a whole bunch of people, chiropractors, everything. Yeah. This is where you want to bring in that wellness component of how those colors play out in wellness to that industry, because it's uncommon. And secondly, there's no true competitors when it comes to what you're offering. See, a unique marketer will always look at what the competition space is like to be able to get their name product out there. It doesn't mean that you're the only one, but I'd rather go against 5 people than 5,000. So I'm always thinking outside the box. Who can I connect to that is not in that industry but would be willing to listen and take a chance and engage and then be able to invest in my services or products.
And then the message of the marketing that goes out. You said something about you're really selling a feeling to somebody. You must, before saying I'm selling something to somebody, you must know that it's a feeling of what it is they're going to get out of it, or how do you go about that? Just explain that to me a little bit better.
Well, today's consumer is not stupid. And the first thing that we have to do as entrepreneurs...
You're all very clever out there.
as entrepreneurs and businessmen and women out there is that we have to understand that we must respect the consumer.
Yes.
And by respecting the consumer, we must be transparent with the consumer. We must be honest with them. Yeah. And most importantly, we have to provide them our product or solution with the intent that it's something that they need and want and that is best for them.
And it's best for them. Yes, I quite agree.
For them, right. So by doing so, we want to be able to pull back, and we almost want to, you almost want to give 5% of who you are, what's your intent, why you're there. And then you want to give 25 to 30% of, so tell me what you know about this. So the question is, what do you know about my colors or how colors play a role in mental health? Do you have any reference of that? In my business, I'd be able to ask people, so tell me a little bit about what you know regarding going to events for speaking, and what did you take away from that? And what do you think was missing from that? What would you have wanted more of? Yeah. Because I want to collect information on the consumer who is interested, but I need to know what they're interested in before I customize my service or product to them.
Oh, I love it.
Right? So it's ultimately working in the best interest of the consumer. Yeah. One of the best professions that I think does a pretty good job of it is car dealerships. They will, to a certain degree, look at a consumer's budget. They will assess that budget with the car that they're interested in to try to find a way for it to connect. Yeah. And I'm not saying it happens all the time, but I'm just being honest. But they're very good at understanding the needs and wants of that consumer. Yeah. So what I've done is I've just taken that same model and I've just done it in a unique way with different individuals to be able to create that win-win. Yeah. And my job is to be able to say, I'm not guaranteeing, I'm being careful with the words that I use. I'm just saying, so I understand that you have a gap here. Yeah. Here's how I can fill that gap with this. Yeah. Let's make this work. Yeah.
I did a bit of research around that. I've recently launched the Moira Academy, which is online courses for sole businesses, and I have in my head a whole bunch of things that I would love to create content and learning for my students. But I know if I create it and nobody's interested in it, I'm wasting time, right?
Yes.
So what I did is I actually asked and have done the research and asked people, what is it that you would like to learn and study? What is it that interests you, and what would you want to study online versus being in a live group environment? And that is how the academy is being created. It's to address the need of what they want. But I also ask questions like, so if you've done online learning, what didn't you like? What was an experience you think you could have done better? So we're creating a brand new experience for my students and my following through this academy.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
And it's based on that advice. So I feel really this is like a big tick that I'm going in the right direction. I'm doing everything right. So it's been wonderful to have this conversation with you around a free marketing tip. I hope you all got that. You've all just got a free marketing tip. Remember, pick 1, 2, or 3. We're going to give you a color message at the end of the show. So I want to introduce you a little bit to the colors, Mark.
Yes, for sure.
So have you got a question for me, something you'd like some guidance or just a direction on? I don't know. I don't know what he's going to ask me. I'm just springing it on you now. And you're going to pick a bottle and pop it on the light box.
All right. First, I'll pick a bottle for us. Is that okay?
Yeah. What is the question around?
Well, first of all, why are they in different? Like, what are 2 different colors? Like, how does that work? And how did you?
Which one draws your attention for that?
Well, before the show, I can't lie. The top one up there with the black there.
Bring it. Pop it onto the. Oh, excellent. So that's an interesting one, that one. It's bottle number 11, and it's very deep magenta on top, and then it's this pale underneath. It's quite an active little energy bottle because a little splashes of colour in there. So so you want a little education on colour, okay?
That's right,
Colour
yes.
mirror system, okay. So this is a system that was founded in 2001 by a lady called Melissa Jolly, who is just an incredible, intuitive, and an amazing spiritual healer, mentor, author, teacher. Also studied psychology, fine arts, and it's all of it combined into a therapy system. And the idea behind the dual colors is that the top fraction says this is what you're conscious of, and the fraction underneath says this is what lies in your subconscious, what you maybe you could maybe have an inkling that this is a part of you, but it is also something that you need to maybe bring to the surface. So the idea of putting it in front of you says, okay, we can talk about what you're conscious of, but also let's have a look at what during our conversation comes up to speak about. All right. The other thing that the bottles have is they have a message. So bottle 11 specifically is about duality. So of course it's like a yin and yang symbol, isn't it? The black and white. So it's about duality. And 11 is also mastery. So for me, this gives me as a reader, a color therapist, the opportunity to say, if this is a bottle you identify with, it first of all says to me, you're a master. You're a leader. You're an innovator. You're a change maker. You're not 2 pillars. You can create portholes where people have found these blocks that they can't get anywhere. You can create this porthole that people can walk through, create gateways for people to walk through. So you're a way shower. So you change paradigms. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does.
Yeah.
Yes.
So that's what the 11 says to me. The magenta says to me that we had a chat upstairs about what the color magenta meant, the mix of the violet and the red. You're part of that group of souls on the planet that says to people, hey, you can make money and you can serve. You can have both. You can have heaven on earth.
That's right.
You can have it all. Now the light underneath says here that there's a tendency, and although you're in social media and you're very out there, the white underneath is a bit of a mirror. So so this first of all, it says you're unique, you are different, and you've certainly, through meeting you today, I've discovered that you are very unique. But it also is a bit of a mirror, say that you maybe will learn to be even more vulnerable, to be even more not exposed, but share a bit more about yourself with the world, and not just a front version, but something a lot deeper. And that's going to come for you. It's going to come. So I reckon your next 11 years of your life, because I can do a prediction on this too, the next 11 years of your life is going to see you evolve into a world leader, a world speaker, and you're going to publish more books. And to me, this is just what this bottle says. A huge part of when you were speaking to me today, is, and what this bottle also represents, is to move beyond judgments, to not look at things in those categories and call it good or bad, but to actually sit back and go, what's good for me, and not call something good or bad, and take that neutral space. A lot of information in that.
Love it. No, I love it. And you know what? It's quite accurate, to be 100%. Like, that's so true. I've learned about being vulnerable over time. It wasn't something that just happened, because you're obviously a human being.
Yeah.
Who I am today is not who I was 15 years ago. I kept those things under wraps because, truthfully, I wanted to get to a certain status where it would be non-judgmental, and it would be more of, oh my goodness, I can't believe
Wow.
he went through that and look
Yes.
where he is, versus those individuals that talk about it in a victimized way.
Yeah.
It doesn't empower them.
Yeah.
So I've always been taught to kind of reserve myself
Yeah.
until the right time.
Yeah. And this is exactly this. And magenta is also the color to talk about time.
Okay.
So it has that energy of yeah, no, it's exactly I want you to pick another one though. We can't just
Okay.
leave a black and white bottle
No
or kind of a
problem.
dark and light bottle on the table. I want you to pick a color you're drawn to. And you can ask a question around it. You can tell me anything you like.
So once again, the blue.
That's
Please.
what you're wearing. It's
Yes.
your colors. Yes. All right, so this one is that indigo at the top, and then it's also got a silver bottle, silver at the bottom. This is actually silver, and it's G30. This is one that says you're that period of time where you've evolved in I wouldn't say like a hermit, but in a more quieter bubble space, that you went through your processes and only your inner circle would know about you. Everything kind of happened in a controlled, enclosed environment, and this one just says that this is going to change. You're getting ready, as it was with bottle 11. You're going to be going out into the world and share wider who you are and deeper who you are and what your message is. All right, so 30 is about coming out of that space. And 30 is also, it's about finding a space where you feel safe to do that as well, because blue is a lot about safety, but it's also about emotional communication. So this is the depth of you. It's not just going to be about what you've learned mentally and the mental processes you've been. It's also about the feeling and the emotion behind it, being more vulnerable with that.
I like that.
I like that. Because there's so, women that's so easy to express their emotions. And to be in a conversation, or to be in a therapy situation or a teaching environment, and share how we feel about things. Men are much more comfortable with their thought processes. You're going to be bridging that. You're going to actually say, hey, I'm a man and this is how I feel, and that's not what I know. You're going to use those feeling words. This is how I feel. This is my feeling.
I like that.
Yeah.
Like
So
that.
there's a lot of growth in that area, but you already are there, and it's just about communicating it more with the rest of the world. There's a purpose to you, to your life, and there's in it. It's deeper than you think. This is such. Both of these bottles are very soul depth bottles, and the whole reason you've got the white lights at the bottom here is to remind you that anything is possible, and any direction you want to take it in, you can, because it holds all the colors. White light holds all the colors. That means all the possibilities. You don't just have a red path, a blue path, a green path, a yellow and orange path. You can go anything that you want. It's open to you.
And I think that's fair to say for our audience out there too. I think that's something that's huge, that you can go anywhere you want to go. It's just a matter of how you set yourself up through self-awareness and who you are.
Yeah.
Once you have that solid foundation of yourself, you can build on that.
Yes.
And you can grow. But you can do anything and go anywhere you want to go, as long as you're going with the right intent and the right focus. You can actually do some great things too. So I want to share that with the audience and just let them know that I relate to this, but I feel most of the world relates to this if they were to sit back and really understand who they are.
But it really underneath is a message from your soul reminding you that you're a light worker, that you're here to put light on the planet, and especially light in people's consciousness, and creating self-awareness is so important. And for a man to speak about self-awareness and to teach it at the extent that you've studied it yourself, that this is about being a leader and being part of a group of forerunners that are beginning to emerge and speak about it. Do you follow Brendan Burchard at all?
No.
Yeah, Brendan Burchard he's recently, I've noticed how he's somebody who's been very successful with in the personal development and marketing and business world, but he's done exactly what this bottle says, and exactly the journey that I think you're going to go on, which is he's speaking more about his internal processes and how and his thought processes and how he gets the results he does. That it's not just a spreadsheet that says step 1 to step 10, this is what you follow, but something that is from within. So yeah, I've got a little email upstairs. I'll show you when we go back upstairs.
Please do.
Yeah. I'm keen to look at a bottle for your little boy.
Okay.
Pick a bottle for your little boy. Come on, let's look at his colors.
Isaiah, let's see.
Isaiah. Isaiah is a beautiful name.
Thank you so much.
It's my husband and I's. It's our grandson's name.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Isaiah. Same age. Can you believe it? Same age. Oh, and you've picked To the Moon for him. So here is an incredibly beautiful boy who is sensitive, he's aware, he's conscious, he's a really good communicator. He's going to tell you how he feels. He likes to be with people, because two says more than one. I don't like to be on my own, right?
Yeah.
So he just is a beautiful, beautiful soul, and literally just he will shine his light wherever he goes.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
You know how when the moon shines, you can almost see it like shining on the top there. The moon shimmers on the water.
Yes.
That lights, even in the darkest places, the moon can light up. And he's like that. He can just walk into a place and light it up. What a beautiful
it's a blessing.
child.
Blessing.
Yeah.
No, that's awesome. You can't be more right about that, because even when he's home, after he does his homework, the first thing he wants to do is go play with his friends and bring them over.
Yes.
Like he's always in that zone of, let's go play and let's hang out with my friends and stuff. So I never hold him back from that, because that's a part of who he is.
Yes, it
and
is.
I've just embraced that. So what you said is quite accurate and clear.
Yeah. No,
That's
he's
awesome.
brilliant. And I think he's probably going to go down a very similar route to you, which is study psychology, be interested in analysis and personal development. He's definitely a chip off the old block. You see the match, how you're mirroring each other here with
It's true. I didn't even think about it that way, but that's awesome.
Yeah.
No, it's beautiful.
He's
It's
a lovely boy. Okay, fabulous. All right, let's have a look here if there's any questions for us, Michael, before we go on to the audience. Vilma says, have seen you, Moira, in many events, but not talked to you yet in person one day. Yes, Vilma, that would be lovely. Zane, Sue, okay. Oh, Anne says, you look lovely today, Moira. Oh, thank you, Anne. Okay, Anna said she's picked number 3, and Zane's from the UK. She said she's picked number 3. Okay, let's go to the cards, my darlings. Let's have a look. So for those of you who've picked number 1 on the show, you have picked our wonderful guest, Mark Dunn's pick. We don't know what it is yet, so let's have a pick. Ah!
Beautiful.
Yellow Joy.
I love it.
Okay, so those of you who picked number 1, you've got card Yellow Joy, and this is a card that says this is a week where you must put more yellow into your life. Go and find some daffodils, some daisies, some sunflowers, anything you can that's yellow, and brighten your house up with some yellow. And every time you see the yellow, I want you to think of joy. What can I do today that's joyful for myself and for somebody else?
Beautiful.
So it's just about consciously choosing to do something joyful this coming week.
I love it.
Isn't that a nice message?
Love it.
Okay, joy. Right, number 2, you've got my pick of the week. Turquoise water elemental, say what you feel. Oh, okay. So mine is around, and for those of you who picked number 2, this is about being conscious about what you're speaking and saying how you feel in the moment. You know, I said to you, one of my bad habits or bad patterns, shadow patterns, was passive aggressive when I was younger. Never could say how I feel, so I would go underground with my energy. So this is a week to be really conscious. If you feel something, feel safe enough in the moment to express it. Don't go underground and go into passive aggressive behavior. Okay. So I have to be on the watch out for that, because I picked this card.
Well,
and hubby's watching, so.
And just to say that too, take time and space for you to be able to feel comfortable to do that, though.
Yes.
Like if you need to go and, let's say, take a bath and just unwind and have what I call me time, have that prior to addressing it, because if you're doing it in the heat of the moment, you're going to be more reactive than responsive. So just take some time and do something else to help calm you down, so that you can see the logic behind what is it that's triggering you, and then work through it.
Yeah, and we definitely recommend baths. We all do this bath, because this is bath therapy. You can pour this in a bath and let the colors soak in, and it changes your energy. So if you've picked number 3, you've picked Michael, the producer's pick of the week. Okay. We're just going to have a giggle here before we show those of you number 3. The 2 bottles that are on the table. Blue, communication. Michael, you didn't even know this was going to happen. Okay, so those of you who picked number 3 with Michael this week, and having a look at the lovely communication, you've had this episode now to get to see and listen and meet Mark and hear how he communicates. My darlings, this is a week for you just to be conscious of what you say and how you say it, and take a moment to think before you're going to communicate as well. And I think at the same time, if there is something that's been sitting at the back of your head and you've been saying, I should have said, or I could have said, or you've been suppressing your communication, this is a week to set yourself free. It's a safe week to say what's on your mind. So you've got 2 communication cards and you've got a joy card. So it's a pretty good week coming up for all of us who's choosing color therapy this week. Okay. Hope that's useful.
And just know that each day being alive means you have a purpose. I mean, at the end of the day, when it's all said and done, no matter how bad life gets, it's not that bad. Your worst day is someone's best day. And truthfully, we have to take a pause and really just smell the roses, take time to realize that we're not on our deathbed. We have people that are. We're not in anything that can harm us, because people are having life-changing events happen every day. When you are going home or you're going through your day, take some me time just to reflect on the reality of your situation versus what the world is saying. Because no matter what happens, you're going to die alone. There's no one else going in the casket with you. It's you. So you really need to be your best doctor, your best therapist, your best expert of you, in order to then leverage any resources in the community to enhance your beauty, to enhance your intelligence, to enhance your greatness. Those things aren't meant to define you. They're there to enhance you. You define you.
I love it.
Right? You define you. So I'm very, very wanting to share that with people, because it's so important that you just take time for you in a way that makes it good for everyone.
Yes.
Because when I can take care of me, I can take care of we.
That's right.
Right? And I can do it in a healthy way.
That's right.
Versus in a way that I'm putting my own feelings on the back burner because I need to focus on what's in front of me. And then when I come to my time, I don't even have the energy, the mental capacity, the ability to say what's going on with me. How am I feeling today? Because I put all my energy in others. And it doesn't help. So please take your me time. Please take that reflecting time.
Take your me time, take your reflecting time, and please remember that you've got a task that we've also given you on this show, and that is to go and find a phrase or a word that you're going to put next to your bed, so when you wake up in the morning, it's the first thing you see, and it's going to inspire you for the rest of the day, every day. And Mark shared that he had the word faith as his go-to word when he wakes up in the morning. So please, and we want you to take photos of that. We want you to pop it into the feed so we can see what you're doing as well. Mark, I want to thank you so much for being here. You've been an extraordinary guest. It's been a wonderful conversation. You've been so inspiring. And you are so unique. You really are. And your bottles just again said you're unique and you're going to do amazing things in the world. And I'm saying the world. I can see you expanding. You're going to go out into the world and make a big difference.
Thank you so much.
Thank
you for the opportunity. Thank you to the audience for allowing me to be a part of your life today. I hope I was able to help enhance what we're doing here together, because no one can be successful alone. We all have to work together. My intent was to be able to share and bring something of value to you guys to help everyone out in some way, shape, or form.
You most certainly did
that. I hope that the show works well for everyone. Yeah. It's not just about me, it's about we.
Yeah, and share it so we can make it about we. Share.
That's right. So thank you all very much, and thank you so much for the opportunity to be here, and I hope that we can do this again.
Thank you, Mark. Thank you, my darlings. We'll see you next week on the Magenta Show. Cheers for now.
Bye-bye.